24/7, even in weekends. And this is going to be, it can impact the reduction of informal economy by 1%. So this, of course, requires a lot of cooperation between the institutions. And
thank you very much, Alan. This has been quite comprehensive. New policies and reforms as well. So, questions from the audience. So let me just open. Nobody? Like, okay, great, thank you.
The pandemic year, so how much of it is reflecting the barriers?
It is time for fiscal policy to rebuild buffers and secure debt sustainability. In light of heightened uncertainty, financial sector policymakers and supervisors should remain vigilant for potential downside risks. Deepening European integration remains at the best response to accumulating uncertainties. We agree with those findings and carefully follow those considerations. Now, let me highlight some key indicators of and reforms that our financial sector is undertaking. I'm pleased to emphasize the resilience and soundness of our banking sector, which remains stable, highly liquid, and well capitalized. This solid foundation is critical as it enables our financial institutions to continue supporting economic activity even amid external shocks and uncertainties. By maintaining a well-regulated banking sector and closely monitoring financial soundness and key macroeconomic indicators, we can better navigate uncertainties and work together towards sustainable economic development. We are also undertaking reforms aimed at strengthening the financial and banking sector and aligning it more closely with the European Union and the other well-established financial institutions and systems with support from international partners including the IMF, the World Bank, the United States agencies, and the European Union institutions. In this regard, we are updating our regulatory and supervisory framework in line with EU directives and regulations, Basel standards, to ensure that our financial sector aligns with international best practices. These reforms are designed to promote resilience and stability in the financial sector, strengthen risk management, and enhance transparency. Our focus on financial inclusion and consumer protection underscores our commitment to improving access to financial services and safeguarding customer rights. Together, these regulatory enhancement and consumer-focused initiatives aim to foster a more inclusive, robust, and resilient financial system in Kosovo. Furthermore, the Central Bank reaffirms its commitment to play a constructive and responsible role within the European financial community, aiming to contribute to shared values, objectives of efficiency, innovation, integrity, and security in the financial landscape. Currently, the Central Bank, assisted by international partners, in collaboration with other public institutions, with support from the government and the parliament, is undertaking reform to align our legal framework with European Union directives and standards, upgrading the financial infrastructure, ensuring a smooth and efficient integration into extended SEPA geographical zone. Our journey towards SEPA integration is part of our broader strategic objective to modernize the financial sector and strengthening economic ties with the European Union. This regional movement is strongly supported by the European Union, including the recently approved growth plan, where SEPA integration is one of the relevant parts. I wish everyone a productive discussions for today's presentation and event. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
We see Europe's economy and recovery on track. That means we see the high-frequency numbers coming out consistent with a moderate recovery, but a sustained recovery. That shows also in the growth figures for Europe as a whole, where we see growth slowly accelerating, and in the euro area in particular from 0.4 to 0.8 and then 1.2% in 2025. And in the CESE region, growth is stronger, but similarly accelerates moderately. At the same time, inflation is coming down towards target. That's mostly true in advanced economies, but also in CESE countries. However, their wage pressures are still keeping up inflation a little bit more. And let me say that Kosovo is somewhat in a sweet spot here. You have relatively robust growth, and at the same time, inflation zooming in at the 2% mark. So that's a very good starting position. But the recovery that we're seeing is a very tepid one. What does that mean? On the left figure, you have recoveries in Europe that have taken place over the last couple of years. And you see also at the red line the US recovery that is currently taking hold. Now, the blue flat line is pretty much where the average of Europe stands, and that's a very shallow recovery. And why is that happening? A large fraction of it is due to uncertainty. One of the biggest uncertainties is what is happening today, or comes to an end today, which is the US elections. Even though I'm not sure it will end today, the uncertainty surrounding it, but I will not comment on the US elections other than that, because I'm in the European department and not in the Western Hemisphere department. But next to those uncertainties, you have other uncertainties related also to elections in Europe that are taking place. We have a year that is full of elections all over the globe. And related to this, you have policy uncertainty. There is not clear guidance on where fiscal policy is heading in certain places over the world. The fiscal framework in Europe is just being tested now. And you have uncertainty about policies regarding structural factors. At the same time, you have uncertainty about whether the recovery that we're seeing is due to cyclical or structural factors. I think in Kosovo, you know very well what is happening in Germany, given that a large share of remittances come from Germany, and Germany is currently in a situation where growth is not particularly strong. And one question is this a structural factor, or is this to some extent a cyclical factor and will go away over time? Another factor of uncertainty relates to conflicts in Europe, but also globally. Those have affected commodity prices, and there's uncertainty where prices will go on commodities. And that brings me also to the next slide, which is the heterogeneity in energy prices that we're seeing across Europe. In particular, while we're not projecting energy prices to skyrocket again, nor do we see a strong increase, we see a decoupling of energy prices in Europe. And that has also to do with the conflict that is in Europe. In particular, Ukraine's energy production is affected and has resulted in a net import of energy. As a result, the energy supply that is available to other European partners has been reduced, and due to interconnector infrastructure problems, you have a divergence of energy prices in one part of Europe and in the other part of Europe. And the CESE region is one that is particularly affected by this more than the Western European countries. But not only do you have heterogeneity in prices, you also have persistence in prices. That comes from wages, which are in some countries still running at double-digit levels, while at the same time productivity doesn't keep up with it. And that's what you see on the right chart, which essentially tells you what the inflation rate today is relative to the inflation last time. If you're at 1, it means your inflation rate doesn't move and essentially stay at a high level. If you're at 0, then today's inflation is unrelated to what happened in the past and is more likely to come down. And as you can see, for the CESE regions, we're still at a very elevated level.
Also intensifying geopolitical tensions, now spreading in the Middle East as well. All these are concerns that we have to be prepared and to maintain the stability of the financial system and also to increase its resiliency.